stop.
Kigaru Taro.
For entertainment purposes only.
Only?
Only.
Hi, Kigaru Taro fans. This is Terry Suzuki, and it's Halloween, so I am dressed. I am dressed up. I'm going to take these off so you can see my granddaughter's makeup. It's great. So I have a ghost story for you today. And some of you who are in class with me, you will have already heard most of this, but I simplified it for class to go a lot faster. So I thought I'll tell you this ghost story on this very haunted day. Okay. This is the story of the very first time I ever saw the spirit of somebody I didn't love. In other words, they were not part of my family or a beloved part of my job or schooling or anything like that. So it's the very first time and a very unusual time. So I worked for a nationally known nonprofit chain, and locally what they did is they provided training and targeted mostly immigrants, refugees, and people of color. And I loved their mission. And I loved the people I worked with, except for my boss. My boss was really bad, a really, really bad person. And she had bought herself so much trouble that by the time I arrived, she promoted me to director of a whole region because I could get the work done while she fought her battles that she had picked. And they were not good battles, let me tell you. They just weren't. She just was a mean person. As I was working though, because I had just graduated out of college and I wanted to do more things. So I actually at this very same time founded another nonprofit. And about midway through my main job, my daytime job, I became their executive director. I was the second executive director, but I was one of 10 founders, and so they thought that was a good idea to promote me to executive director, and I was okay with it too. But I was getting tired. Everybody thinks being the executive director or the CEO is going to be a good thing. Well, because you're the top dog. No, you got bosses. They're on the board. You got 8 or more bosses. So it is not that easy at all. Not at all. I'm going to turn to get out of the sun a little bit. So I took that on because I could do it on the weekends. It wasn't too terribly hard at first. But I didn't really realize the fact that I'm going to be the only paid employee, and therefore it's going to be a lot of work. And I'm going to have to do all the communications, I'm going to have to do all the politics, I'm going to have to do everything that's going to go with it. So in the meantime, I had been that executive director about 2.5 years, and I was getting very tired. At my day job, back at the nationally known nonprofit, we had an executive director, and I'm going to name her name because she was known. Her name was Jill, and she was a good executive director, but she was interesting in that she was just tiny, maybe 4'11" at the most, but what a bundle of energy. And she had been diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer. And at the time that what I'm going to tell you about happened, she actually had had that for 4 years. She was one tough woman. I mean, a tough lady. She, I don't think, ever missed even one day of work in those 4 years with stage 4 breast cancer. And in fact, the day she died, she worked. She died after work. Now, she had lived a very conventional yet unconventional life. She was in a very strict religion, and yet she never got married, and she adopted a daughter as a single woman. And so one day, she came to my office, and she came in and sat down and kind of took a deep breath and hoofed it out and just started chitty-chatting and then finally got around to why she was really there. She said, I'm going into my board meeting in just a few hours, and I need a story to tell them about programs and what you guys are doing and how well you're doing. And that kind of surprised me, because usually my boss would have provided something like that to her. So obviously something happened and my boss didn't. So she came and I gave her a story, and it was good. And just as she was about to get up, she took a deep breath and she just hoofed out a prayer. God, please give me the energy to get through this meeting. And she took another deep breath, hoofed it out, and got herself out of the chair and went. And I realized I had been saying the same prayer, and my board meeting for my side gig was a week away, and I've been praying that every damn day. So I realized it is time to quit, Terry, because one of the things I didn't like is that Jill was still working, even though she knew her days were numbered. She's still working and she's not being with her daughter. And I decided I don't want to ignore my family, and I don't want to fall on my sword for a nonprofit. I mean, I loved working there, but not that much. So I quit that day. And within about a month, Jill died. And it was very sad. But the same day that Jill died, my bad boss disappeared, took off, because she knew that Jill was the only person protecting her and that everybody would want a piece of her. And she was right. So after she disappeared, they promoted me to her position temporarily. And let me tell you, everybody wanted a piece of me because they couldn't get the piece of her, mainly because they were too cowardly to face her. Let's be honest, that's what it was. Because of all of them, I was not cowardly to face her. I faced her, but I just didn't let anything go public, because once you went public with whatever was going on, you didn't have a job. So, and I thought our mission was more important. I really wanted the people to be helped that we were helping. And so anyway, I was having a pretty hard time at that job, but I felt pretty good on the other side because I got rid of my side gig job. And so it was funny. So about 2 weeks after Jill died, she came to me in a dream to talk to me. This time, instead of, because usually when they come and talk to me in a dream, it's like, everything's okay, I love you, I'm loved over here, everything's fine. This was different. She was mad. She was madder than a little wet hen, and she was kind of mad at me a little bit, and she's like, I want you to apply for my job. We need to keep this going. We need to keep care of the workers, keep, defending the people because she was kind of defending the the workers and everything. And I knew from my treatment as a VP, as a temporary VP, that I was not going to get that job. I wasn't even going to get that temporary VP job, They wanted a piece of my old boss, and I was the only person left that represented, and they wanted a piece. So I thanked Jill for coming and talking to me, but I said, no, I'm not going to apply for that job. I've just gotten out of a different one that I realized, I'm not getting a job like that because it's stress. I'm not going to go for the stress. And she went away, and she appeared one more time in another dream, imploring me to apply for the job. And I said no again, because I knew I wasn't going to get it, so why stress myself out? So 2 weeks later after that, I was having a staff meeting. So it was my whole, I had staff in many areas, so it was basically the time we could all get together from all the regions and talk about things. I absolutely adored my staff. They were the nicest people. They were so for the mission. I did I worked really hard to protect them from the politics, that they never would have to see the ugliness, that they could just do their jobs and be proud and happy of what they were doing. And like normal, we were in a big conference room, and we put the chairs in a circle. And beside me, I took out one chair so people could get out of the circle a little easier. And so we're having our staff meeting. We're just there. I'm sitting beside the little opening. And across the room appeared Jill. I could see Jill. And she's across the room, and she's mad. She's got her hands on her hips. She's tapping one of her feet. And she says, "Are you going to apply?" And telepathically, I said, no, 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 no. And she screamed and ran for me. She ran straight at me, and she went right through me and whooshed me. She went right through me. And I went, I mean, loudly, because how many times do you get whooshed by a ghost? I mean, not very often. And everyone looked at me like, "Terry, what's wrong?" And I'm like, I just remembered something, that's all. I just suddenly remembered something that kind of caught me off guard, that's all. And they thought I was telling the truth, because, I can't say I just got whooshed by Jill, who they all knew too. And we went on with the meeting, and that was the last time that she came to me. So I'm hoping she went back to the light and quit whooshing people, and let the chips fall where they may for the next person taking her job. Yeah, and I think, one thing I think that I hope you take away from this is that when people are new to the other side, they don't always have that perfect self-sense yet. She didn't know that wasn't for me. And some people may disagree and say it was for you. She came to you 3 times to get you to do that. But, they picked a national guy that was well known, that they would never pick local little me who was trouble from the get-go. So I knew it wasn't for me. I knew I didn't trade in all that stress for one board for another. Believe me, I knew I didn't do it. So if you have any other takeaway from this, or other things that you notice in the story that speak to you, that you want to point out, I would love to hear it. So I'm not going to read any questions this week because I ran out of questions. So send me more questions. And I want to alert you to Sun Psychic Jean's channel. She's a friend of mine, and we're going to work together to put out some new content. It's going to be really different, where we're going to try to read people live, but just one person, and that way we can spend a whole hour with them and maybe go a lot deeper than we normally do when we're reading live together. So I hope you subscribe to her channel, and hope you hit like for this one as well. Thank you so much for listening. Bye.